The following episode of Crusade for Myth Drannor is adapted from the Wayward Wood by Leonard Wilson, published in Dungeon Magazine number 32. First thing the next morning, the four set out, meeting the apprentice druids outside of town as they intend to guide their new allies to the now mobile Burnham Wood. The meeting comes to a screeching, or rather hooting, halt at the party's surprise at the young Lhoris' equally adolescent companion, an owlbear cub. Ril calls for introductions, while Massul takes the opportunity to introduce limp to his cousin, before nervously asking if the little beast was well behaved.
He's well behaved, isn't he? I don't want to have to be taking a point out of me.
He's no more vicious than a regular bear.
Lhoris' statement does little to reassure the dwarf. With Beth and Mac leading the way on horseback, it's not long before the edge of the Burnham Wood is located. From a distance, the trees appear as though each is shimmying or even shaking in the wind. On closer examination, the forest seems to be making about 15 feet each minute, crawling along the ground, each tree slowly advancing the line of the forest toward the north. The druid apprentices dismount, their mounts refusing to enter the crawling wood. Divinations reveal that whatever unknown force is propelling the forest forward is indeed magical, though the heroes cannot discern more beyond that. Intent on venturing into the wood for more clues, all present make their way through the tangle of tree and root. Lhoris, spotting a potential source of information, weaves an incantation and strikes up a quick conversation with a squirrel clinging for dear life to one of the marching trees. Once the young elf has the rodent's attention, he inquires as to any reason it might have seen for the forest moving about. The bushy-tailed tree dweller excitedly conveys that, before the forest started moving, there was an enormous crashing about by some huge things! Lots of crashing and lots of things! Continuing even more quickly, the squirrel adds, and there was a scary red creature that did not know how to sit still. It would jump from tree to tree and leaf to leaf. The big things were fighting other big things. Some of them were using the red creature to attack the other big things. Some of the big things were green, and some of the big things were not green. The young druid is not entirely certain of what all this could mean, but shares the hopefully relevant information nonetheless. Massul suggests asking the squirrel where this happened. Happy to inquire, Lhoris asks and receives the answer that was a long distance to what he can tell is the south, a point the forest is moving away from. Hoping for any further information, Ril prods Lhoris into asking the squirrel for more details about the big things. The rodent relays that the creatures were much larger than any of those here, though they walked on two legs. At a dead end, the party heads deeper into the forest, trudging against the wave of trees crawling past them, continuing south even as nightfall quickly approaches. Realizing that they'll need to make camp in the forest, the group of heroes spread out and begin a sweeping search for a suitable place to rest without being run over by the marching trees. Coming across a small waterway, the seven ascend a small outcrop of bare land elevated above the banks, the trees breaking around it like the course of a river around a boulder. Fairly certain a better locale won't present itself, a watch schedule is set. Before everyone is settled, the group gathers around the fire, and Mac, setting water to boil, directly inquires as to what brings the party to this stretch of wood. Túrendil deflects that it is a long story, simply summarizing that they were on the way back to Schadenford from the well of Lord Barkus. Rilyanasse and Túrendil strike up a bit of a song around the fire, and Massul waits his turn to tell the tale of Clan Bloodfury, and his tale of being petrified with a caravan of traders en route to Myth Drannor, prompting Lhoris to chime in that his parents had gone to Myth Drannor in search of a rare medicinal plant. Not long after the sun has set and darkness has crept over the walking woods, something, or someone, makes enough noise to warrant investigation from the campers. Jade and Ril sneak into the nearby brush to catch a glimpse of a pair of large, gangly, moss-covered humanoid creatures making a poor attempt at sneaking up on the camp. The alarm raised, Mac promptly blesses his newfound allies as trolls begin to emerge from the marching forest. Stopping his nightly de-armoring, blessedly having just started unbuckling his greaves and no more, Túrendil calls upon the Seldarine's protection as he stands and hefts his shield. A troll rushes out of the tree line toward Massul and Lhoris, swiping with one of its massive claws. Jade skulks off into the woods to try to get the drop on their attackers, as Massul brings his hammer down on the giant threatening the young elf without success. Another troll barrels out of the trees toward Túrendil, grazing the priest on the ribs with its claw, as a third skirts around its companion to attack Massul, but the dwarf deftly dodges its clumsy swipe. Stepping back out of the troll's reach, Lhoris calls upon the forest to ensnare his foes, vines and branches reaching out to seize the trolls hiding within them. Rilyanasse steps back from the troll menacing her and looses an arrow, piercing the giant's hide as her owl swoops in to attack. Beth draws her sickle and picks up her shield, circling toward the entangled trolls. One of the moss-covered giants struggles to escape from the grasping vines and grasses, the plants snapping as the creature trudges through the spell's effect, advancing slowly on the party as the forest impedes its approach. Mac, following Lhoris' lead, calls on the plants to the south of the party to come to their aid, writhing and hindering the attacking troll that had come to bear on their flank. Both Jade and the troll dance away from the wrapping tendrils of the plants. Túrendil slices the nearest foe with his blade as one of the monsters swipes furiously at Massul, the dwarf ducking under the troll's claws. Spying an opportunity, Jade takes up a position opposite Paladin, flanking the giant. A quick smack of her mace to its vitals sees it fell. Lhoris wills a blade of pure flame into his hand, sending his owlbear companion into the fray against the ambushers. As Rill loosens arrows into the attackers, Beth conjures a healing spell, closing some of Massul's wounds. With a bestial roar, a troll much larger than those that had attacked the party leaps down from the cliff above into the nearby pool, creating a huge splash, extinguishing the campfire and drenching those near it. Túrendil charges through the sodden ashes of the fire at this new opponent. The troll swipes at the warpriest, who bashes its claw with his shield as he ducks through its reach, rendering the hand momentarily useless with a cracking of bone and rending of flesh. Túrendil slices Nephilium across the giant's hide, adding injury to insult. Massul ducks a hail of blows and gnashing bites from one of the nearby trolls. Jade slips behind the trolls attacking Massul, scoring a critical strike with her mace while Massul batters the monsters from the other side. One of the giants, wounds closing with alarming alacrity, awakens from unconsciousness, straining against the entangling vines. Lupin and Lhoris ply claw and fire to the foe before them. Rill looses more arrows, and Túrendil holds his own in a stalemate against the big troll in the water, bolstered by the forest pinning down the regenerating opponents, who seem to be damaged beyond their accelerated healing's ability to keep up with by Lhoris' flame blade. It is not long before the first of the attackers is truly slain instead of temporarily down. With nearly all of the trolls down and both Beth and Mac trying their best to help, the accomplished adventurers reduce the monsters' numbers to 1, and then a final slice from Nephilium sees them vanquished. To the surprise of at least some of the party, a tree steps out of the writhing forest. Unlike the pines and oaks of the wood, this bears more resemblance to a cross between a man and a tree. It speaks some ancient language of the forest, and Rilyanasse answers in kind. The two converse at length while the tree paces back and forth, appraising those gathered. It is not long before Rilyanasse conveys that the entire party has an invitation, granting them an audience with Willow Rose, the treant queen of Burnham Wood. Thus concludes this episode, but the crusade for Myth Drannor is far from over. Join us next time as we continue the Wayward Wood. If you enjoy, please like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you for the rest of the adventure.